Hello everyone, welcome back. So today I want to work some more on our little tags that we've got here. So where we left off is I need to create some form of leaf for this flower here. So I've just grabbed out my yarn. I believe this is Appleton yarn. So I just want to cut off a strand. That should be enough to do something. Can always get more. I might leave it at, well, I do 2. I want it to be quite chunky. Let's try the 3. Grab a needle. Hopefully this needle's big enough to take it. And we will attempt to do some stitches. This might be a bit thick to pull through the fabric. Let's see how we go. So what are we going to do? Maybe just do some little, oh yeah, just goes through. So let's do a stem straight down. Oh, I think this is going to be too hard to get through. No, we got it. And we'll come up beside this and just, no, I think I'm gonna change my mind. I think, no, well, I've got myself in quite a knot here. I'm just trying to visualize in my head what this, no, that'll be okay, what this leaf is going to look like. So it's going to be quite a sticky looking leaf, I think, like if it was in a very dry climate. So there's not much plumpness to the actual foliage. So I've got one big stitch, 2 smaller stitches. Now we might bring another one in. Oh, it's tough to get through. It'll be worth it in the end because the yarn just gives a nice textured leaf. We might leave it at that because I think, will that lie right there? No, I need to, yeah, that's good. So I've got 3 stitches, the one big one, 2 little ones, and then I came more of an angle on the branch. Let's see if I can get this through here to create a knot to finish our work at the back. Excellent. And that gives us a nice little scrap there again for maybe a stem or another leaf. Now I'm thinking we're going to start with the understory next. So this is just all about more stitches and more layers of things underneath foliage. Now we'll do this one here where I added a piece of the sari silk. So I'm just looking for a piece of it, about so big. I'm going to just lay it down and then with crochet cotton, I'm going to do a fly stitch down it. I was really happy with the way that that came together. So I want to repeat that little stitch. So I'm just going to pin it like that, so then my pin's not in my way. And then needle and thread using crochet cotton. Don't have any already threaded, no. And it's a case of a little fly stitch, and then on each of the tips of the stitches I added a little bead. Let me grab that. See that? Just a little bead. That came up really well. So I want to do that again. So let's do our stitch at the top. You could draw in your stitch lines by all means, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just gonna see what happens. At the end of the day, it's a little wispy plant, grass-like, fake, doesn't exist in nature, so you know we can get away with a lot. Pins are annoying, but necessary evil. You could do some invisible stitches down that to hold it, and then you'd get rid of your pins. Lovely. Love this stitch. It's so easy and so filling in a space. If that makes sense. Just really interesting stitch, and what you can do with it. You can make them into circles and squares and rectangles or sprigs. And then, of course, you can come back and embellish them with your beads. So this will be in another video when we do all the beading, but we're sort of just working on that understory of our big flowers. And by placing a little bit of sari silk or gauze or fabric behind your stitches, is just another layer. Okay, so we're down the bottom now. Perfect, so we'll just knot that off. I like that. So there's our little piece in there. We can get rid of that pin. Now, we need to start working in this zone, just little decorative elements and stitches, so, and maybe some lacy bits. So what I'm going to do is I might do some pistol stitches. So just a big stitch up into the air, and we'll do a knot, a French knot at the top, just to add some little background elements, because I'll lay some lace in front of them. So I've lifted them off the ground. Let's pretend that's the soil. So I've lifted them off the ground, because then we can put some little lacy bits in there. And that's just using up the last of this crochet cotton that was on my needle too. So might as well. I think I probably have enough. I'll just do one more, because I think I can get one more little stitch out of that. Whoops, I've lost my needle thread, but I think I can thread it. Oops, oh, I might have been pushing the limit trying to sneak that extra stitch. But I am going to persist. There we go, we got him. Now, if you were working with colour more so than I am, you could bring in some more colours there and just keep going, and lots of little pistol stitches. I'm going to leave it at that, because I can always come back and add a few extra little stitches. See them there? Because what I'm thinking is across the ground here, let's go back to our scrappy little bits and see if we can find some little shapes in amongst our bits that can be stitched in there like that. Just a little bit for no reason. I just like it. So let's get our thread again, stitch that into place. There's another little bit of lace sitting just there that's got my eye as well. So I might just pick that up before we go too far, because maybe I can stitch it down too. See this bit here? That was part of this guy's stem. I sort of like, the look of this scrappy bit off the side of it. We'll keep the stem intact because that might be useful for another flower. This bit here, I don't know why I like it. Let's just tuck it in behind there. Just because. Yeah, let's do it. It's now found a home. Just a little scrappy piece. And I'm going to stitch, sort of looks like a wispy piece of grass or something coming up the side of our stem. I might just pinch that down a little bit there so that I can see my pistol stitches so I'm not crowding them. There's a bit hanging down here. I don't mind that either. It sort of makes it look like mulch on the ground, you know, just random bits and pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to have a look for another little element to add to this corner. And I've got this trim that came off of a doily, and I just love it. I just use it all the time because it's got a little leaf built into it. So if you ever see a lace that is made up of little leaves, grab it, because you can pull it to bits like, and then pop a little branch there, and I'm going to have it come off the tag a little bit. So it's starting to make the tag look a little bit bigger than what it actually is. So we're just staying over in this corner, layering in random bits. Okay, a couple little stitches just to hold him. Okay, I like that. So we've created like a little mound of mulch here for this to be growing out of, and then we've got our little pistol stitches there. Okay, so what I might do now is I'm going to finish off that thread there, and let's go to the other side of the tag. Let's just rethread that because I'm going to need it. All right, so you see how I break it down into little areas? I think we need to do something here. So let's just have a little look through our morsels. And I'm wondering what we could use to create a little feature flower. I'm looking at these little rectangles here actually. I might sneak one of them out. And that might be the start of another little flower. You could probably even find a little button. So it's going to be another feature flower made from goodness knows what. Just tucked in there like that. And then a little stem, and away we go again. So I'm wondering if I get this yarn happening again. So maybe it's, yeah, I'm liking that. Well, let's first of all get that little guy stitched down. And I guess, do I want something else behind it? Where's that tulle? I know it's such a small little detail and really probably not even seen, but when someone starts to study the tag, they'll then go, oh, there's tulle in there as well. So let's stitch that down. And once again, here's our feature little flower. Like this over here, we've got another one happening here. So on our tag, there is 3 elements happening. The big guy and then 2 smaller ones either side of him. So a couple little stitches in there. Lovely. And then I'll leave that thread nearby because I'm thinking we might couch this. It's only fine, but I think it'll work. If we get that pinned down, like so, with a few little stitches. Because it's a little bit longer than I need, I'm wondering if I can do a U-turn at the bottom of this stem and come up again with it. Let's have a look at that. And we could make then like a bud, or so U-turn back up. Once again, continue couching it down. Couching is just the best. It is quick. It gives you texture because you're using something that's got a bit of form to it. It's not just an embroidery stitch. I'm now going to finish that off there, and then we'll trim it just above it. Oop. Look, I really need some little scissors, don't I? I've got these big monsters. Got a little bit of yarn left over, so we might even couch another one there, but we'll see. Let's find something for there. I wonder if we could use a little flower. Let's trim this little guy out. Oh, you could have so much fun with this. Like, the possibilities are endless. Let's put that little guy on there. How cute. Don't think I'll add a third, because when we come back with the gold thread, we can add more elements to this zone with extra stitches and little pistol stitches and French knots, and that's before we even then come back with the beads. So it's just breaking it down into stages is the trick to this. Well, that's how I find the best way to do anyway. So we've now built a little feature over on this one side, and I'm thinking I'm not going to add the mulch. We're calling this mulch because I like the fact that that's a little bit of air to breathe there. Let me bring it up to the camera. See that? It's got his own space. There's a lot happening over here. So I'm thinking we're going to finish that there. And let's go to the other tag and do the same sort of theory. So let's put him aside now. All right, so this little guy. So we need to create a secondary feature flower. So we might do something here. We've got a lot happening here already with this lace. So that might be just a few stitches. I don't know. What have we got? I do like him. He's been rattling around for a while. That's come from a lace that is by the meter, and it's just lots of little rectangles. I'm liking him because we can put a lot of beads in the center or even a button. So let's just stitch him down. He's now got a home. I don't know how many times I've moved this little fellow, but he's in. So there's our secondary flower. underneath our mane. So a couple of little stitches just to hold him. Then we need to find a stem for him. So something we can tuck in that comes in under him. I'm thinking that might work. So I'm going to pinch off of this piece of crocheting, that tiny bit. And we'll couch it down and see. You've got to think too, if you put down a stem for a plant or a flower and you think, oh, it's just too thick, you can always come back down the center of that thick stem with some beads or some little stitches that are, excuse me, that are a stronger color, and your eye will just see that. So you can get a narrower, I think that's what I'm trying to say, you can narrow up the stem of your flower by adding some stitches down. Goodness me. So I'm just catching. Sorry guys, I don't have any water. Going to need more thread. I might stop the video too and just go and get a glass of water, guys. I feel like I'm going to choke at any minute. Okay, I will be back. Okay, I'm back. All right, so I've just rethreaded my needle because I was running out of thread. And I'm just carrying on down this stem to secure it. I'm liking that. Okay, and I might just scoot back up that stem to where roughly I would put a leaf. And I'm thinking of doing a similar style of leaf that we did on the big flower, where we cut a shape. And this piece of lace is looking at me. Can we cut a leaf out of that? I think we could, and we've still got this bit left. Maybe we cut a small leaf out of this, and then I lay onto it just a little bit of this lace. Just cut a little bit out. Give it a bit of a shape. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that. And we just stitch him down there. I'll use a couple invisible stitches for now. And then I'll grab my crochet cotton and pop a couple, oh goodness me, couple extra decorative stitches. Gosh, I'm getting messy here. That can go in the bin now. Okay. I might actually, I'm not going to do any decorative stitch there. I might use the beads to create a little feature. So I'll just do invisible stitch for now. That'll hold the lace and that little bit of linen down. So it's not going anywhere. And then some little beads could go on that, I think. I'll leave it at that. Just knot that off. Now let's work on the mulch, the ground. What are we going to do with this one? Yeah, I'm liking that lace by itself. I don't think I'm going to do anything over here because that piece of lace is just beautiful. So let's focus on the ground. Oh yeah, let's do that. I like that. So I'm going to cut this doily has just it owes me nothing. It really does. Like, there's so much still goodness there. I'm just going to trim that up so that the linen that was attached to that crochet edge is now gone. I'm going to leave it nice and scraggy. Is that a word? I don't think so. And I'm going to attempt to stitch that on there, and I'll make that square bottom peek out at the bottom. Yeah, just as there's our mulch. We're building a garden. I honestly did not know where these tags would go because I was like, well, how do I find an image? How do I design a series of little Christmas images, like, you know, a bell, a star, whatever. I thought, no, that's boring. I really want to use some scraps. Like, the year is coming to an end and there's all these little bits and bobs lying around, and I'm sure you're all in the same boat because we've all been doing the Journal of Stitchery. So it's time to sort of use these bits, I think. And I'm pleased I've done this because when you do a nature stitchery, there are no rules. Oh, look, there is rules. Look, we've got a feature flower and then maybe a second feature flower, even a third feature flower, and then we're doing our flora of the forest, the mulch. So our grounding our image, giving it somewhere for these flowers to be, you know, coming from a point of existence. And that helps our brain when we look at these things go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Even though it's scraps of goodness knows what, our brains see that floor and go, oh, well, yes, it's a flower. We can see a leaf. Yes, that's a flower. Especially when you know, you've got friends and rallies that look at some of your work and go, oh, that doesn't look right. That's not a flower. That's not a bird. My dad's a classic. Unless a bird is absolutely true to the bird and it actually looks like a wren or an eagle, or, you know, it's an actual bird, he will not accept that it's a bird. That's not a bird. That's a heap of scrap lace stitched down. It's hilarious. Like if you draw a rabbit, for example, that's not a rabbit. His ears aren't the right size. His nose isn't right. He doesn't have the whiskers in the, you know, it's just, he cannot accept abstract. His eye only sees realistic. So if you were to put a bowl of fruit in front of him that had been painted and you could actually see it as if you could pick that apple off the page, he'd be happy. He would be happy. It actually looks like something. It's hilarious. It's just no end of frustration for someone like me who's a little bit abstract. So what I'm looking at now is, do I need anything else down here? Because I've got the little stem coming down. I don't think I do. I'm going to just snip that off. See, even a morsel like that could be stitched in the center. I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. It's in. Crazy, isn't it? That tiny itty bitty bit is going into the center of that flower. Let's just stand him up like he's a stamen coming out of the flower. That makes sense, doesn't it? Not to my father. He'd see that's a scrap of crocheting that should be in the bin and not stitched into a center of a flower. Here we go. Excellent. So that's in. I think that's pretty good. Now let's see if there's an opportunity to put a few random stitches around, just for no other reason, just some random stitches. So we're going to go back to our crochet cotton. That's like a tiny bit. That might give us something. So we're just looking for somewhere to lay a few stitches down. Just a little bit of interest. Let's do something up here. My phone is pinging. It's getting to that time of the morning when my business is opening. So the staff are all walking in the front door. Everyone's communicating. Ping, ping goes the phone. Hopefully it doesn't ring. I just put it on. No, I can't. If it rings, I've got to answer it. I can't. So there's some little stitches, just for no other reason but to put a few little stitches there. And it uses up the scrap. So I might thread up that again and see if there's somewhere else up the top. So I'm sort of focusing in the background up the top. So let's have a look up here. Let's run some little stitches up the back here. These are so much fun, these tags. Great to do in front of the TV. You can watch a movie. Don't think too hard about your tag. Just throw down a few stitches. Getting caught on my leaf. And because they're neutral, like I said earlier in a previous video, you can use these for birthdays and just put a different paper on the back. Look, you don't even have to use card and paper. Just put some nice linen or something on the back. Some antique doily that maybe has some embroidery from someone else on it. That'd be beautiful. You flip it over and there's some more embroidery that someone's done. Gosh. There we go. Just a few stitches. Now, let's go back to that first one and see if there's a few spots to put a few stitches. Yeah, there's our little stitches up the top, down the side. Really helps draw up the image. That's lovely. Happy with that. Now let's have a look at this little guy. I think there's an opportunity there to do something. Got a bit of thread left, so let's do it. Seed stitch is another one that is great for putting just a few random little stitches in the background. I'll just do some running stitch for now. Little X's is another thing. I think I did little X's on one of those tags. Okay. I might do another row. It's just all about creating little minute details, tiny little elements that catch someone's eye. And of course, if they look at the tag, then they pick it up in a day or so and look again, they'll see lots of little bits and bobs. Still got a bit of thread left here, so let's see if we can do anything else. I might put a few little X's up here. Why not? Just a couple little cross stitches. Itty bitty. Gosh, you can do so much with these things. Like, it's whatever takes your fancy. Okay, that's two. Let's do one more. All right. Okay. So we've done our flowers are all in position. We've put a few extra little marks around the place just to add interest to our tag. The next thing I want to do, which will sort of finish this video off, is the border fabrics. Now, the border trims or laces, or what I mean by that is, let me grab these two again. See how we've come past the tag with some extra lace that is wedged between. So this is what is seen then on the other side of the tag. So you sort of got to have a little think about when the tag is flipped over, is something needed to sort of extend the tag. So I'm just going to move them out of the way. So what I'm looking for now are bits to go on the edges of the tag. Like that one there has potential if it's the right length. Yes, it is. So that's one of them. So that's a very old handkerchief that I stained way back, and I've finally used all of it, so that's great. So I'm just going to pin that on there for now. And that holds it there. Then I have a look at it again to see if it needs something else, and I think it does. We need something down here. We could go crazy and put a big piece of crocheting on there. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I like that. Yep. So I'm going to pin that. That also gives you an opportunity to re-look at your mulch and see if you want to add something else, because now you've just extended your tag. So I'm thinking of doing something down here. Now, what could we do? We could look for, oh, hang on, what have we got here? We've got a little gold flower. Yeah, I'm going to put that there. He has been kicking around for ages too. So I'm just going to pin him for now, because I don't know if I'll get enough time to stitch all this down. So that is the start of extending your borders of your tags. So we just pin that into position. So what I do is then turn it over and then come through and stitch all that down, because then the tag will cover that like so, and you've now got a little bit of a decorative element coming on this side of the tag, and that's not stopping you doing something over here, so you can drift your embroidery up onto this side as well. So it's the possibilities. You like, and there's your front tag. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's have a look at this little one. We've already got some dingle dangles happening down the bottom here, so I'm thinking that's probably enough. I don't have much in the way of long lace here. I wonder if this would look too uniform. Oh, I don't mind that. Yeah, I don't mind that. Especially if I get that little scallop just to appear past it. Yep, that's it. So once again, we're just going to pin that on, and then I can come back and stitch it down on the other side with some little invisible stitches. Oops. How are we going for time? I think we've got a little bit of time. Okay, so it's like framed our tag. So I might just get the shape back up here. Yeah, I like that. And there's nothing stopping you adding another layer and another layer. Like, oh, you can do so much. And because it's abstract, much to my father's disgust, it doesn't matter. There's no rules. As long as it sort of looks like something. As long as when you glance at it, you go, oh yeah, she's trying to make a flower, there's a leaf. Okay, she's in the garden. Now it makes sense. That's all you want to achieve, I think. So now I'm just going to come down that top corner because we know we want it to end nicely there. And do a series of little stitches just to catch all that. When we sandwich the tags together, that will really ensure that that's, you know, not going anywhere. I don't even think my pin's caught it. Look at that. It's flapping in the breeze here. I've completely missed it. Oh boy, oh boy. Let's have another go at that. I completely missed it. Too busy talking. Not concentrating. Okay, so now we're away. As long as my thread catches it, you know, as long as that works. I've promised myself in the new year that I'm going to redo my pin cushion here. She's an old girl. She's been with me for ages. She hasn't got a piece of card in the bottom, so when I pick it up or sit on it, oh, you can imagine what happens, because the pins literally are just below the surface there of that fabric. Terrible. I made a quilt years ago that was all red work, and that was the fabric that was the border to all the stitchery pieces. So it sort of came to be probably early 90s, and I did this little ABC thing on it, and didn't put a base in there to protect myself from grabbing it. And since then, they use the crushed walnuts to put inside to sharpen pins. Brilliant idea. Well, I've finally managed to get a bag of that. It's actually sitting on the floor holding the tripod from wriggling around too much, so it's become a weight. So I need to get that and fill it, and then make myself a new pin cushion. I like the size. You could make them longer, and there was lots of videos going around where everyone was making a really long one. I don't think I want it that long because it's sort of going to take up room on my workspace. I sort of like its size. It's worked well, so I'm not going to change that. I do have this gorgeous teacup that I'd love to put a pin cushion in. That's another project in the back of my mind. Maybe next year. Well, it will be next year. This year's nearly gone. I'll remake my pin cushion. It's time for change. Okay, so I'm nearly to the bottom of this tag. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. Must be time for breakfast. Okay, there we go. Might just pop a stitch right down the end there where those two laces cross over, just to sort of hold them together out there, because they're past the tag, but I don't want them separating. I want it to look like that's meant to be. So I'm just going to pop a couple little stitches down that end. Lovely. All right. Yep, that's secure. It's not falling off. It's reasonably straight. So let's end this off. So that's the general gist of applying the border, the trim to the side of the tag. So it's sort of, yeah, I love that effect. It sort of frames your tag to some degree. It makes it look bigger. And it sort of allows some of these textures to pop around to the other side of the tag from the other side, is what I'm trying to say. Where is the little yellow bauble that we insert? Why have I lost that? Here it is. So that will sit in there like so. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, what I'm going to do now is pretty much ready for gold thread and beads. So I'm going to stop the video. I will stitch all of these elements down to remove all those pins, and then the next video will be starting to put the bling on our tag, and that's when you really see them come alive. Okay everyone, I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.